Let's begin chapter 2. Now that I was elder to Naliaka, she was slightly young, short, fat, with some cheap rudeness. The type of heavily bodied persons from the Balonje clan. Contrary to the small-sized figure of our clan, the Basonge clan, with our long, elongated limbs. So she came as we began our schools, as we entered our elementary school for enrollment. She also came. She could not stretch her hand and touch the other side of her ears. That was a simple interview for enrollment. She was asked to go back home, grow a little bit more, and come for the classes in the next season. Perhaps groom herself to be able to mingle with the society. She ought to develop some cochlear parenchyma and some peanuts, enough tools to make her listen and understand lessons. She had to mature up a little more for her to attend classes. It was not that difficult for me to pass the interview. For instance, I was already tall with long legs and arms. I touched my ears that way easily without even bending my neck. So I passed the interview. Besides, I had 18 seasons in my pocket. That is, I had 18 years already. I was too late to crouch my legs with the preliminary pupils. I will not fit in the first, second, or the third class. Such was not an amicable thing for me to sit and mingle with the young, nose-bleeding children, with the mockers that streamed down like a small river. Perhaps Moses fitted in that lower class. With his mate, they sat in class and competed to lick their running noses. Droplets of mucus that formed a river and its sources. Grouped in the lower classes, they sketched and drew shapeless graphics on the ground, the dusty soily floor that became there now a book or the writing wall. Mr. Tyson dressed up on his daily official khaki suit. He equally led them through and taught. He helped Moses also unbutton his naked shorts. He equally instructed Moses to tuck in his shirt. After always he forgot to tuck in whenever he came from the toilet. That way, Moses will run quick to class, beating all his competitors from the toilet whenever whenever they were given a break to go for the urinal beat. Always they had a competition to run. Actually, Moses will beat them. He came first, but forgot to tuck in and also button his shorts. He actually topped in the urinal competition, beating his 3, 4, or the 5 classmates. You'll want to be the first to eject and already using urine and ran quick to class. Such was their usual break time urinal competition. He left his short untucked in preparedness for another emergency call. As for me, my brain had formed and a good posture to grasp more within a few limited time. With the better intellect, I was able to understand things I had not learned. I needed just some few explanations and I was able to give back the correct answer. I was given the 6th class right from the Gracila to class 6. I didn't have to be taught how to sketch ABC. After all, I had seen such things from the books of my younger brother Lennox, who had used to attend the classes daily. But as for me, I was old and with very little time to sit down with the children, yet enough workload had awaited me. Therefore, I will skip through using the panya routes and meander into the forest to get to the grazing land, the kewa. Kewa, we had the animals there are waiting for me. Now that Brenda had matured somehow, Okongo walked in with a toddler by his hand. Occasionally, he spoke words of encouragement to the middle-aged girl. Though she looked physically broadened, she never depicted sign of a woman. She was still immature and innocent. Okongo and her daughter, Brenda, walked into the school compound. And after admission, she was directed to join others. She found her place ready for any kid with some sense to take some lessons. She was also welcomed. Their morning session had just ended, but loneliness and boredom nagged him after he lost his beloved wife. He thought of educating his daughter that would bring about the joy of his lost half. They had just buried Navangala. Brenda was a small rounded woman with some small dimples on her cheek. She had something in front and something behind as well. Though short, depicted innocent of an underage, she never knew the treasure she carried, something that kept Moses to keep an eye on her all the time. Even before her teachers in front of class teaching, Moses will never keep his eyes off from Brenda. The more Mr. Tyson became busy explaining his lesson, the more Moses also learned something sinister in his mind. Nyangwezo, take care of your sister. Teacher Tyson gave me such instruction, directing the young toddler to sit right beside me, perhaps to become her caretaker. I was a social person. Given that I was the next of kin in our village, everybody liked me. I mingled well with my age group as well. We sat together with girls very close that we coupled destmate. Though the only girl I had touched and felt her tender skin was that of my girlfriend Nadiaka. Such close interaction posed some dangers to manhood. The school rules had forced us to sit together in the same class side by side, perhaps on the same bench, with a person of an opposite sex. Such was the culture for the whites in their white land. They practiced in their homeland and forced the same thing to us to emulate into their bad behavior. Sitting next to a woman, for our culture, it was not acceptable. What if accidentally she naps her upper abdomen and forgot her lower abdomen? She will entice me, or my fellow boys, to her sweetness, something our elders understood and took some early precautions before something awful happens. For instance, sitting close to my mother-in-law and she forgets herself only to realize her lower dresses apart and her lower abdomen wide open, yet my eyes are always keen to observe such areas. Again, if I happen to be such close and in need of such warmth, then something probably will happen. Something definitely will happen. Something awful. Given that some of them are healthy and willing dogs, you can imagine a willing buyer, a willing seller meeting at a precise corner. Definitely something beautiful will take place. But it's awful to have seen the nakedness of my mother-in-law. A disrespect to our custom and bad manners to the value of our age difference. Such close conduct also causes disrespect to our age set and beliefs, and like poles attract very easily. The white administrators made us to comply with their culture, to mingle with one of your opposite sex. in one class sit next to her. Like in the village where girls stayed away or they will stay in the kitchen, mingle with the women and the little children. But as for the Muslim, we stayed in our rooms. And if perhaps in the road any feminine accidentally met with a Muslim on her path, she would hide or pave way to the incoming boys. Whenever they will see, they will have to move away and show some sense of respect and tranquility. Also in the same school, we had a girl by the name Nasambu. She was determined to attend her class, resilient to her cause, despite the stigma in her youth. She had already messed up in her youth and gotten some children, but she was determined to pursue something in education. She was a mother of 2 already, but nothing will stop her to find her way and attend her class. A married woman in primary school. Her quest for education kept her on toes. I liked her so much. At most, we could sit together and chat the assignment left to us, revising the monocots and the dicots. I noticed Naliaka's face would frown all the time she found us together. Jealousy killed her. She frowned, thinking Nasambu was taking on her place. She popped herself in our midst, frowned like our Nyindo bull protecting his ground. You see, in these days, you've become a frog, jumping here and there over women. Today here, tomorrow there. Now what has come over you to abandon me and began licking your nose for the elephant girl? Wait and see. I will also get a gentleman of my taste, a good one for myself, and show you what it means to play about in a relationship. You play me, I also play you. Naleka had to complain whenever she found me sat with Nasambu. Unlike many classmates, Nasambu and I had one thing in mind. We wanted to pursue and learn more. We had one big interest and an objective to understand the minute details we were not conversant with, to learn something new and equip ourselves with the knowledge. Both of us were size big, and such was a big shame if we could not respond to questions in a class amidst many young teenagers. We exchanged our notes again and again and studied more. We compared ourselves and who got the highest mark without copying and competed favorably. Most at times Nasambu beat me in class, but that was a sad moment in my life. I will request our teacher Mr. Tyson for some more books, burned midnight oil, and read widely in preparation for the next exam. I wondered how Nasambu easily understood her lesson, yet she had very little time for revision. In the evening, she was supposed, and it was a must for her to attend to her children, also attend to her husband, and also the society kept waiting on her. She had to sit down breastfeed her twins before she prepared the evening meal. She also woke up very early in the morning and prepared breakfast for the whole family before she would run to school. Every day she came to school late. Our teacher, Mr. Squatter, who was the school head, would not spare her. He would give her something to remind her that she was late. The day before, and again, it's obvious she'll come to school later, days afterwards. Enough strokes on her buttocks became a painful reminder. Hoping she'll feel pinch in her shock absorbers and change her conduct for her own good. She'll perhaps change her ways so that she can make a good future for herself and for her family. A better future with bright days. but her heavy behinds pulled her to move fast and make it in time. She came to school late every day. Her sharp mind and the good brains in her skull did not quicken the banded weight of her body to prepare herself quick and make it to school in time. She came every day late, but Mr. Quater would not spare her. The only person who will not adhere to the school rules now, because they were at school, you see, when she came to school every day but to maintain the school discipline, Mr. Quater was forced even to administer stock to her. He followed instruction up to it, strictly to maintain the school standard. Villagers were rowdy but respected him and the school. Perhaps the only person who could not adhere to the school rule of the wise was my father. For instance, anytime my father had his kettle more, he asked of my whereabout, and therefore he needed his son. He practically stormed into the school compound and came straight to my class and instructed me to run for the kettle. Nobody would touch him. He was an unshakable man. Even the wise tried to pursue with him, but he noticed a little of them. This prompted the white mistress to employ school girls with guns, and like the watchmen of our current days. This scared the other rowdy members of the society, but to my father, you will not notice of that. Those were our days when education did not matter to our parents. All they needed was the children to take care of home chores. As for them, children sitting in the class was a waste of time. Nasambu had one beautiful character. She regarded and respected everyone and obeyed everyone. That way,